to the Fixing Football podcast with the OGs of the whole goddamn thing. I'm Martin, that's Liam. He's back from Tenerife. He's back from his wild allegation dodging trip, and he's here to join us because there's been a lot of news about football this week. The matches are coming thick and fast. There's two massive things happened, and I'm going to let Liam decide where this podcast goes tonight. First of all, the big one was the FIFA World Cup draw, the farce, the absolute comical show that seemed to turn out to be. But there's still some stuff in there that's definitely worth discussing. And also, Mo Salah, a bombshell interview that seems to be everywhere right now. And it's snowballing even as we speak. So this might even be a few statements out of date by the time you hear this, but we're just going to run with it. We're going to give our thoughts. And like I said, Liam is here. Liam, how are you, mate? How was your holiday?
Yeah, it's really good, man. Really good. First time to Tenerife. Really enjoyed it. Especially at this time of the year.
I love it. It's my favourite place.
Yeah, I can see why. The thing is, when I went, I talked to a lot of different people, yourself included, who almost exclusively only go to Tenerife.
I've been twice, but yeah, all right.
There's a lot of people, but there's a lot of people that's true of, I've found. They will only go to Tenerife. And I can kind of see why. Because if you're looking for that sort of, kind of a feel of home, but abroad, it's the best version of that, I think, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, it's a much nicer version of the Benidorms of years gone by.
And I've done a lot of those holidays. You know, I've done a lot of those. There's not many places on the Costa del Sol I've not been to. Or even when you start going out to places like Greece and that kind of thing, I think they're quite similar.
Nah.
This is the best version of that, I think.
I think so. It's got everything. Lovely place. We could move the podcast there one day, maybe. That'd be just live offshore. That'd be nice.
Well, yeah, you know, be like Jim Ratcliffe, couldn't we?
Liam, the World Cup and Mo Salah, where do you want to start? There's two big topics here, and I'm excited about both of them.
Well, I think we start with Mo Salah. Why not? Why not?
So, let's give anyone some cliff notes for anyone who's had their head in the sand for the last 5 days. He was left out for the third match in a row, or maybe second.
Yeah,
I think
three.
It's the third.
Three.
I think for the first time in his career, he said, I don't know if anyone's fact-checked him on that, maybe Carell from the HMRC will be fact-checking him at some point, but
if it happened, it would have happened at Chelsea, wouldn't it? But
I mean, obviously it would have happened there.
But anyway, it's definitely not happened for a while.
And, I mean, he's let his feelings known in the way that Mo Salah does in the sort of presser after the game, where maybe local reporters, it's not like in the press conference, but where the local reporters go and get some news as players are on their way to the team coach and stuff like that and leaving the stadium. But that's when he's sort of give these interviews in the past when it's been contract talks or whatever.
Yeah, let me just show a bit of insight on that, because I've been lucky enough to be in that process before. There is, when particularly the local written press, they will sort of all congregate around.
Yeah,
and they kind of just see who they can grab. Like, you've got the post-match presser, and that'll be whoever goes out, and you'll sit, listen, or stand and talk. And there's the TV ones that we all see, but then there's the written press, and that is very much like we kind of see on television, where they'll sit there and they'll answer questions from local media. And then they kind of all congregate, and it sounds like that's where this has happened, really.
But that seems to be his go-to as well. Like, his voice to the media is where he'll go. And I know some of the podcast guys go there as well, like the Redmen TV and some of the Anfield Wrap and stuff like that. Some of them.
Do they?
Yeah,
that's
they
interesting.
get in there. So this is where he's used this platform before to talk about his contract and things we weren't happy with and stuff like that. I think it's been pretty exclusively contract talks in the past and shouting down Jamie Carragher. I'm sure we'll get onto anything that's to do with that, but he's gone out to there and let the world know his feelings and, you know, thrown a few bombshells in there, like the fact that his relationship with Arne Slot has broke down, that they don't really have one anymore. He's not happy, believes people want him out of the club. He wasn't specific on that. So, Liam O'Meara, take it away. I mean, what were your thoughts when you first heard that? I mean, was it something that we were all speculating a little bit anyway?
I think there's a few. This is such an interesting thing, and there's a few things that I think I will say that I completely agree with. He only seems to ever do these things when he wants something. This isn't someone who will go and talk about how good things are when things are good, or how much he appreciated how good Jordan Henderson was today when like Henderson was driving in midfield. He's very much when he wants something. So this was something he was doing quite a lot last season when he was trying to crank that pressure up for this new contract. Something we talked about loads of how difficult position that was for Liverpool. And here's a question before I sort of say my point.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got a point?
No.
No.
No, I couldn't.
Does anyone? Is a question.
I mean, there will be someone who sides with Mo Salah in this argument. Maybe even if he does have a point, the whole way of going about it is the worst bit. It's the worst thing he's done. He's isolated himself dramatically, although rumours are that there are people agreeing with him in the changing room, and he's just the one who's, he's the most senior of them to go out and say anything. That maybe there is a group within the changing rooms who aren't happy with the manager of current, and that there is unrest in the dressing room. So there is maybe that, but just the way to do it. It's not, you don't throw. He's lost any chance he ever had of leaving that club as a club legend, in the same way that, like...
Can I just jump in? I think the sands of time will be generous. I think this is very... And I'll get into my own things of why I think this later, but I think right now this is going to be nasty, but I think...
All right. Well, Michael Owen left 20 years ago, and they're still not keen on him, and he won a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, but he went to Man United. I think if he hadn't gone to Man United, it'd be a lot better. But anyway, go on. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So and what I was when I first saw this online coming up as like posts on X, and you go, oh Jesus, what's going on here? And I'm always keen to see how he said it as well, that it wasn't like a rehearsed statement or anything like that. And it does seem very like off the cuff, that in his tone of it, but it's also he sort of resolved to this point where he was like fed up. But to be fed up, I mean, at his stature in the club, on his salary, which is very public, and it was made very public by him about his contract. Everyone knows he is one of the highest paid players in world football. What he's done for the club and where he is currently as a player. And he isn't, no one can sit here and say, he's been playing well. I think, like, I don't know why Slot's dropped him. Everyone knows why Slot's dropped him, and it's not because he's fallen out with him or doesn't like him as a man anymore. He isn't playing well. And no matter what you've done for a club, if you're not playing well right now, that shit catches up with you big time.
This is interesting. And I think we're starting to get into the real heart of the matter here. Because I don't disagree with any of that, by the way. And to be fair, we were kind of saying, we all kind of agreed at the back end of last season that the ideal situation for Liverpool was to let him go. But almost the situation dictated that they almost couldn't do that. Especially with Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving. They were almost had to give him the contract. We'll get into that later. But The Athletic, I think it was the Northern Irish fella, I can't remember his name now, Colin Miller. He raised a really good point here. Of he compared it to Cristiano Ronaldo's second stint at Man United. And it
is quite similar, although... Yeah, go on. Yeah, please.
But not in the sense of exactly how it's played out, just the instance of an ego that simply cannot accept that time has caught up with them and they're not able to perform at the same level that they were. An elite, one-of-a-kind type athletes, which we're kind of what we're talking about here in both of them. I know Scott might say that about Mo Salah, but I think the numbers dictate that you would have an ego. So when you do those kind of numbers at a club like Liverpool, you're going to think quite a lot of yourself, I think. Rightfully so.
Well, I think that's been made clear in what he was saying.
So whether you think it or not, it doesn't almost matter. It's what he thinks of himself. Can that person accept this version of reality? And in the instance of right now, cannot accept it. And it almost creates this situation. I mean, Ronaldo's still in the Portugal starting 11.
What's weird is, one of the things Mo Salah mentioned is that promises were made to him. And I can't imagine that Mo Salah was promised that he doesn't have to defend or track back as long as he's scoring. Or, like, I can't imagine what these promises were that Arne Slot has now broken is that you will play every game for the next 3 years, the length of this contract. That's unfathomable for anyone. No manager in the world would guarantee that.
There's no such thing as an unconditional promise. He's not playing well enough, so you've got to hold up your end of the bargain. What does the word promise mean? If he'd have gone in the summer, come back 20 stone, well, you promised, so I'm starting centre mid now. Actually, there's no unconditional promises. He's not holding up there in the bargain. We'd had our Liverpool episode, what was it, a month ago, and we unanimously agreed that Mo Salah was the most obvious problem. If you look at Liverpool's form since they took him out, it has improved slightly. Obviously, they're still very much in. Things aren't great there.
Yeah.
They're absolutely not. But, drawing 3-3 away at Ellen Road is better than losing 3-0 at home against Nottingham Forest. They have improved slightly. Still not getting better, but it's not like they're getting slapped still.
No, and it is. There's been so much unbalance within this squad that someone who is unbalanced by his very nature of being in the squad, in the way that Liverpool had been set up over the years, he's got to be a big make weight when you're trying to rebalance something to fit in an Alexander Isak and a Florian Wirtz and two rapid fullbacks who you want to fit in them as well, because they cost 100 million, and just so many other things that go along with like I said, balancing this squad.
Hope was that he could adapt his game, but not everyone has that. It doesn't mean that you're not a great player. So, sometimes you see players that maybe lose an edge of pace and they adapt slowly, and you see a different version of them.
He can't slot in at left back, can he?
No, he's just not maintained those numbers, and it was always those relentless numbers that defined him.
But his numbers last year was so freakish, even by his standards, they were his best season at 32, going on to 33 years old. But there was always going to be a drop off. Really, I'm baffled by him as a professional, as someone who is. But you're right. I was going to say someone earning the sort of money he is, but you're right, and the Ronaldo thing does sort of ring true. His ego has just gone, nah, I'm the best, and I've also won all these things for you, so you owe me. To what? Not that he's just the biggest and most famous player in the club. So every time he is left out, in the same way, I'll just give an example. Ozil and Aubameyang were starting to get left out towards the end of their time at Arsenal. They were the biggest,
a good example, I think.
Biggest, most famous players who weren't playing well. Let's have it right. They weren't performing. There's no.
But they don't accept that it's them. They think that. Another example of this, I think, if it were taken differently, would be Bruno Fernandes. I think he would come under this if things turned for him at Man United. And I don't think they will, because they'd have to be he'd have to turn into a Sunday League player for him to look bad amongst his peers. But anyway, that's a similar thing, I think, where he just wouldn't accept it. So I think it's easy. Yeah. It's easy to turn around, I think, and go, well, he should have done this. He's been silly, but there's more emotion in it than that. I think it's just such a hard reality to accept that he's not Mr. Liverpool anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, Anslot has had his press conference today. I don't have it in front of me word for word, but he was basically referring to it as a club decision that he has trained, but basically took sort of a bit part role in training and then didn't travel with the squad to face Inter Milan tonight. Do you think so one of the questions Anslot was asked was, will we see Mo Salah in a Liverpool shirt again? And his response was that he doesn't know.
I think that's a pretty good answer. I think the question is, will he play at the weekend as almost like a swan song game?
Well, that's actually Mo Salah. What he said is, I will probably say my goodbyes. Are they playing Aston Villa? Did I hear that right? Or wherever it is, or whatever it is there. I'll be saying my goodbyes then, and that'll be it. It goes to AFCON. Liverpool do some deals in January, or he sweats it out till the end of the season, till the summer.
Yeah, I think it seems almost like a scenario. I wouldn't play him for the sake of it if I was Liverpool, by the way. They need wins. If he's still not contributing, he doesn't get a game because it's not a testimonial.
Would you, if you are Anslot, does he play for Liverpool again?
No.
Me neither.
Not even because of this. I mean, because of this, he's probably going to leave in January, and that means that when he gets back from AFCON, he's probably not a Liverpool player anymore. Because I think you can redeem. Look at Emi Martinez at Villa. All of a sudden, he's Mr. Villa again. But there is a world where you can redeem. I just don't think he's playing well enough to warrant a starting position. Like, there's nothing's changed for me. So if he's made a decision to leave, which it sounds like he has done when he's making us, and maybe we talk about this in a moment, he's trying to create a situation where it's either him or Slot. If it's a situation where he's engineering to leave, then he probably doesn't play for Liverpool again, because I wouldn't play him.
That was going to be my last point, but for me as well, I'm the same. He doesn't, I wouldn't want him to be playing again. I would do the unkind, awkward, horrible thing where you isolate them. They go and train on their own, the famous bomb squads, whatever you want to do.
See our bomb squad episode. Shout out to Chelsea.
He sees out the rest of his time there until this is the hit now that Liverpool have to take.
They probably don't need to take that hit. Circumstances are probably going to dictate that he's probably going to be in demand for a move from two areas. I think two different leagues that I think.
All right. Let's say he had the blessings to go at the end of the season, and there was probably an agreement where somewhere between the region of 50, 60, 70 million, whatever you want to call it, as a Saudi transfer. That deal's just been slashed in half at the very least in terms of a transfer fee. That's not the big picture here. Getting the wages off the books is the big picture.
I think I was going to say that. We're a club like Liverpool, the transfer fee isn't as important.
Whatever. I'm less asked about the money here and more thinking of...
Because I think, by the way, on that, I think they would have... I think Michael Edwards and the executive room, I think, would have let him go at the end of the season if they had control of the situation.
Absolutely would.
I think if they'd have renewed Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think they would have let Salah go.
They bought two of the most expensive attackers of all time last year. So
I don't think the transfer fee comes into it.
No, it's not. I'm saying, but that's the hit. That is a hit. Say they were estimated to receive 60, 70, 50, whatever. That's gone now.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a nominal fee, if anything. And I don't want this to sound cheesy, but I do think it's important that his legacy as a footballer, and I think it's something that he cares about as well. He's been very public about wanting to break certain individual records, like the goals records and such, that he hasn't had the foresight to phase himself out of a move to Liverpool, or Liverpool haven't had the foresight to start phasing him out and have that conversation with him, rather than dropping him for 3 games. He is now spat his dummy out the pram and that's it.
I would say we don't necessarily know that.
Well, hold on. He started pretty much every game up until the last 3.
Yeah.
So that's not a phasing out as far as I'm concerned.
But yeah, I suppose. But I don't know if you could. But you probably. Well, you're right. That could have been an option, but I don't think the more Salah ego allows it. But again, we don't know that. We don't know.
I didn't have him penned down for a real ego-driven monster like that we're seeing. I didn't really have him.
Sadio Mane, what do you think about that? Or Jurgen Klopp, what do you think about that?
Well, there was also that as well. Look, I don't know what we're doing here. There isn't the only fix that I think is the sensible one is that he's out of the club as soon as possible for the benefit of Liverpool.
And him.
And him.
I
don't see any coming back from this, and I think.
Do you think you're realistic to get a European move, or do you think it has to be Saudi or MLS, which I think are the two most likely?
I think MLS is unlikely, but I don't know why. I just don't see it being something he would want to.
I think there's 2 options, right? I think it's either Saudi permanently, I think it'd be a nominal transfer fee. I think you're right, something in the region of 15 to 20 million. Won't be loads. Full wages off the books. I think the challenge is that the problem they're going to have to do is they're going to have a loyalty bonus of the remainder of his contract. So they won't want to pay his contract up. So they're going to have to come to some agreement with him that will be involving on the transfer fee. So either he'll end up getting like £15 million signing on fee in Saudi. I think it's like 31 million left in his contract, I think I saw reported. So they're going to try and have to find that money to pay his contracts off and get it off the books. That's how they're going to have to work this out with Saudi and Mo Salah. So, and I imagine that'll start happening with his agent almost immediately after this game at the weekend. The other option is a loan to the US. World Cup year, nothing to do with him not playing for Egypt. It's to do with building a profile of football in America, and because the Egypt games are going to be a harder sale as opposed to the some of the other games. So it could be a real way of building some intrigue in the World Cup over
Egypt
there.
qualified for the World
Yeah,
Cup.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right. Maybe there's something to that. But there's one point, you know what? I honestly don't care where it goes. I'm more cared about him. He has been a thorn in everyone's side for a long time, and it's sad to see it sort of. Let's put our neutral heads on here. I know you found that hard being a super red, but that it's not gonna be a good time seeing him leave and leaving in this way. I felt the same sort of when Ronaldo went in his second stint. That to see such a legend and an icon of the Premier League just leave in a shitty circumstance of his own causing. It's his fault. I'm not saying his reasons aren't justified to himself. Boy, this is on him.
Of course it is.
One thing that you did mention, though, is the turnaround here. And this could be the the Granit Xhaka moment, like him saying fuck everything, having his bags packed. And in the meantime, the manager being sacked. And when he returns from AFCON, Xabi Alonso or Steven Gerrard or someone else is sat in the dugout and Ancelot's time is up. Would you suggest that there is a way back then?
Maybe, but I think the two things are separate. I think Mo Salah doesn't see it that way. But I honestly think that their two futures aren't intertwined. I actually think both are on the verge of going. I don't see a world of Mo Salah staying after that outburst. I'm not sure it'd be fully Arne Slot's decision. I think there's a lot of people that make decisions at Liverpool. So I don't see that being fully Arne Slot's decision. I think Liverpool are going to try and take advantage of the fact that Mo Salah's given them the opportunity to get rid of someone that they actually probably secretly did want to get rid of anyway. And I don't think Liverpool are going to pass that opportunity up. In terms of Arne Slot, I think that's a very different situation. I don't necessarily agree with some of the people in the media that think that he's unsackable. I very much think Liverpool. I'd be shocked if they're not watching that situation closely.
Do you think if this was Arne Slot's Chelsea that he would have already gone by now?
No, but I think probably be under more pressure. No, not more pressure. Sorry, I don't know. It's quite hard.
I'm thinking of a club who are more aligned
more prone
with
to it.
Just getting sacking managers.
Yeah, I suppose. I wonder if he'd be there if he won the league last year. But I suppose there's a world that should buy you grace.
This is what I'm saying. In my opinion, and I honestly think most Liverpool fans are in this boat, is that he deserves some time here. He's given himself time with the club and won the league. And now he's having his time to put his stamp on it, really. And we're seeing the fruits of his labours as a manager and as a head coach, however he's labelled within Liverpool. For me, and if it was my club, I would think at least give him till the end of the season, seeing where we're going to be ending up, and deal with our cards then.
Within reason. Within reason. I think if they don't start winning games soon, I think it'll change. I also wouldn't make any decisions straight away if I were Liverpool in regards to permanent replacements. I would definitely be looking for temporary to the end of the season. And I'd probably try and stay clear of people like Steven Gerrard in case they do really well.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't want a Solskjaer situation. So you want to do something like what Celtic did with Martin O'Neill. So you want to maybe have a look at Kenny Dalglish or Souness.
Roy Evans.
Maybe not, yeah. A Roy Evans type, if you will. A Benitez, maybe. Rafa. Maybe Ooh. Rafa. So something of that nature that you can get rid of. Or they'll do the honourable thing and step aside. They won't start making noises. Because
it's such a rubbish situation. And it's so, I mean, from a rival's point of view, it's hilarious and I'm loving every minute of it. I'm not even getting stuck into the Jamie Carragher stuff because I think that's just a funny side piece. And if you want to check your X timeline anytime soon, there'll be something on Mo Salah and Jamie Carragher.
Pure emotion with it, innit, Carragher?
Yeah. It's funny that he was name checked in Mo Salah's speech. Like, I'm sure Jamie Carragher's going to have a word with me tomorrow or have a go at me. How's that even come up?
It's funny because I know I made a joke in our WhatsApp group about Martin Keown, but they're very much of the same ilk, them two. That they talk a lot of sense about football until they talk about their own clubs, and they just lose all sense of reality. They don't see it in the same. Like they just can't. They can't separate the two. And I suppose there's a nice thing to that. I suppose like we don't want it all to be.
Did you see
surgical
Martin Keown?
Sort of.
Did you see Martin Keown was called out by Prince William?
I'm not even. I missed it. I'm not caught up today. I make a point of listening to that show every Monday, so I'm going to have a listen to it later.
Martin Keown named Ødegaard man of the match, but Prince William's argument was it should have been Buendia for scoring the winner, and that was all that was response until Martin Keown had been on the news today and said Buendia wasn't even on the pitch when I named man of the match. Like he came on in the 90th minute.
Fair. I suppose that makes sense. I always think that's a weird. Speaking of man of the match thing, I always think that's a weird dynamic. Naming it, but they name it like 2 minutes to the end.
Yeah.
I've always thought that because you can even go, I'm gonna go, might have to change this, and it's just like it just makes no sense. I suppose for TV, they don't want to maybe pay that extra bit before they get the advertisers on. Maybe is the point, and they don't want to cap the celebrations off. But I just think I've always found it a weird dynamic.
Anyway, Mo Salah, what have you done?
Bad person.
We'll be back with some World Cup news and other fun stuff in a minute. We are back, and this week was the all-important World Cup draw, the FIFA World Cup draw, the spectacle that it was, featuring the FIFA president, Infantino, hosted by Kevin Hart, Heidi Klum, Rio Ferdinand. Performers included Andrea Bocelli. I mean, a fantastic lineup, a sort of royal variety of Andrea Bocelli, Robbie Williams, Nicole Scherzinger, and the Village People, because obviously. And that's about as much as I know of how the draw went, because it went on for so long that days turned into nights and people have to go to work. Some of us work evenings and weekends and stuff like that. It just went on for so long. So, Liam, tell me about, first of all, in fact, tell me who England have got.
Oh, there's a.
I know
Where's my notes?
I know we're in Group L, which is mad. That's the last group in it.
So we have got Croatia, Panama. It's the last one. You've curveball me.
Ghana.
I know. Croatia, Panama.
Ghana. Good old Ghana. So, semi-tough games, maybe? I don't know. Croatia, I've called Croatia the Aston Villa of international football in the week because they're like the top of the rest of the good teams.
Okay. I mean, I see Denmark as that, but I think you've got two in the same pot there.
It's in there right there. So go on, fill me in. What did you think of it?
What, the draw itself or England's draw?
Both.
Well, I'll start with England's draw. Yeah, I mean, England were pot one, and I think they were almost like superseded pot one, which was the sort of the first thing that I didn't know until I turned the draw on.
What does that mean?
So, the top 4 ranked FIFA sides were put into almost like tennis-style brackets where...
so it's like...
Yeah, so the top 4 seeds could theoretically only providing they finish top of their groups, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Could only face each other in the semi-finals, which is not something I'd seen done before. I don't think it has been done before. So that was the first thing I found bizarre.
Is that a thing to manipulate the draw a little bit, or is it because of the size of the World Cup this time around?
Probably a bit of both. And manipulate's I think that's the word that a lot of people were using. But I think they've got to sell this to TV companies ultimately.
That's a fun point, but carry on.
So I think this means that you've got the best teams featuring each other at the critical times. Because if you look at the last World Cup, England played France in the quarterfinal. I would argue that was the 2 best teams of that World Cup. Played each other in the quarterfinal, and the winner would have. I know Argentina went and won it eventually, but the winner in my head was coming from that game, although it didn't really work out that way. But you want England to play France in the semi or the final.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're looking for here. So it's to stop that happening. And I think another example was like England Brazil back in 2002, where you had the
When
England
was that?
golden
Quarter final.
generation. I think it was I think it was
No, it was round of
quarterfinals. It was round
16.
of
Round
16.
of 16,
The
yeah.
Ronaldinho
Uh-huh.
chip. Like that was another instance of arguably two of the best teams. And you just kind of don't want this to happen, is the idea. You want them to face each other later. And I think there's an element of elitism to it that people won't like.
Yeah, I don't like that. I want you to carry on because I do want to know like as much about this draw as possible. But
Well, that's the first thing. But yeah, comment on that first.
I don't like that. I want a South Korea in the quarterfinals, and like we've seen in recent years, and
Morocco.
Let's think of another. Morocco was fantastic that year. Yeah, in that one time, who was it? What's he called? The guy who played for United. What's the Amrabat? Who had a
Amrabat,
fantastic
yes,
tournament.
Amrabat.
So yeah, I'd love that. I think that's, and it does so much for them countries for the next X amount of years.
I mean, that's 4 years ago, by the way. Seems like yesterday that was.
It's mad.
But probably
the other
actually
one
wasn't 4 years ago. That's why, because it was a Winter World Cup, so it wasn't
4.5.
It was
the thing that you said about they need to sell this World Cup, that I don't think you ever need to worry about selling this World Cup. You could have it at 4. Well, you couldn't, but you don't need to expand it. You don't need to have a halftime show. You don't need to make it this daft spectacle that it seems like it might be becoming.
Well,
because
they'll argue differently. Any way that the only everyone wants every 4 years, don't forget. And this is FIFA's biggest earner, quite obviously. So they only have it once every 4 years. So that in their head, they'll think we have to milk the fucker as much as we possibly can. But that's reason number 2. I mean, so we'll move on to some other stuff, because I don't disagree with what you're saying there. The draw was no more, only one from each confederation, but Europe, there was 3 incidents where there'd be 2 from Europe in there. So it's still segmented. So, for example, in ours, we were one of the ones with 2. So we've got Croatia, but then we've got Ghana and also Panama from different confederations. What do you think of that? Do you like the ideas that they spread the confederations out?
Yeah, I like that, because most groups then, in fact, all groups will get a true sense of a World Cup. So I like that.
Okay. I mean, I see that view.
1 point for FIFA.
Does it? Well, no. I mean, I see that. I'm split on it. I think.
What's your thought against it?
That I think it creates a easy draw for European teams and South American teams.
I mean, yeah, there is going to be the, but then again, there's upsets. That's what upsets are for. That we are not meant to know how good Panama or Ecuador are meant to be, or how Japan are going to fast against Norway or something like that. We're not meant to know them things, and that's meant to be the surprise. That's going to watch me. That's going to make me watch Iran versus New Zealand at 3:00 in the morning. Like that is what's going to keep me pinned to the World Cup.
Okay, fair enough. So I suppose the other part of this as well is it's 48 teams, which you kind of mentioned earlier, going into 32. So there's going to be an element of third place playoffs here.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
It's going to be similar to how the Euros works.
Is it L?
Where the Euros goes from 24 to 16.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas this is going from 48 to 32. So it's a similar thing where you're creating an extra round, an extra bracket. So there's going to be a round of 32.
It's mad. Okay. I mean, I don't hate that.
Well, Arsene Wenger, a lot of people said it's too many. And I think you're probably going to get not your first, but you're going to get some batterings, I think. I think there will be some holy spankings in this World Cup, right?
Good. Makes for a good predictions league.
Yeah, well, yeah, it makes a predictions league. But Arsene Wenger made a good point on this. I don't normally agree with anything Arsene Wenger says when it comes to FIFA.
How dare you?
I think he's got a... Anyway, no, never mind. So he said, yes, you might feel like it's too many, but it's still less than 25% of all the teams of FIFA that play in the World Cups. Only 1 in 4 teams in the world are actually playing in this. So it gives you a sense of perspective that it's not a full World Cup really yet with regard to that. But okay, so fine, I suppose. All right, that's a good point, I reckon.
What did you make of the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize given to Donald Trump?
I haven't even got to this yet. What did I think of it? right. Politics aside, because I think there's a good case that Donald Trump is a good thing for geopolitical stuff. I think I'm not a Donald Trump fan. We're not a politics podcast. There's quite a few of them out there that say that we're doing a football one. But anyway, we're not a politics podcast. So I'm not going to sit and debate whether Donald Trump is a good or bad thing. But what are FIFA doing is quite clearly it's
token gesture.
Well, it's diplomacy. There's a word called diplomacy, and it's quite clear they're really schmoozing on the highest stage to ensure that he doesn't play silly beggars with any of travel or venues during the World Cup, and it's quite obvious that's what it is.
Do you think if Donald Trump had have won the Nobel Peace Prize, in which he was being touted for, or gone political, but if he'd have won the Nobel Peace Prize, which a lot of people were going to say he would do because of his stuff with Ukraine, that's as much as I get into politics.
What I'll say is, I understand that people would have the view he deserves it, right?
If he won that you think FIFA wouldn't have had to make the issue, like they've just gone,
no, I think they've done it anyway.
We've got a peace prize for you as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a completely separate thing. And this thing is a completely separate. I think it's I think Infantino for the last 18 months, 2 years, it's not. There's two things going on, and we'll maybe talk about Infantino in a bit more detail. There's two things going on. Infantino is brand Infantino, and I'll get into that what the draw look like anyway. But then number two, it's very much that version of him is very much trying to make sure and keep Donald Trump on side. How effective that will be, I have my doubts, but he's trying.
Yeah, I mean, he's not one to be shy when it comes to travel bans. So when you all of a sudden have another 47 countries wanting to,
that's what yeah, and you've got real issues with this. You've got people like, and another thing we're not talking about is the Iran delegation. So who were there? So the first time I'd heard in the build-up that a few of them had been denied visas. Yeah. They just panned on them when they got drawn out the hat. Oh, and Jonathan Bish's like, oh yeah, Iran are here, that's good. So there are some really interesting, they're fully on the ban list. So what happens to Iranian fans wanting to watch it? What happens to Iranian non-playing staff that want to go over there? There's a lot of so there's a lot of reasons to try and get him on side. So I think that's what you saw in action there. So it's easy to be cynical, I think, but FIFA have to work around Donald Trump, unfortunately.
So
but what I will say before we move on that is it does put FIFA in a very sketchy place when they start talking about not being involved in politics, or they shouldn't get involved in politics, or politics shouldn't be in football, which is very much something they've been talking about with the independent football regulator. Politics and football shouldn't mix. I mean, yeah, it was outrageous what we were watching.
Talk to me about Brand Infantino.
Oh,
because this guy has become, maybe since the Qatar World Cup, has become a real presence in modern football.
Migrant worker. Yeah, right. I watched it with my wife, the World Cup draw. We're on holiday, Tenerife, and we did that. That bit between you finished at the pool and you're going to go out in the evening, you're kind of chilling around in your hotel.
Love that time.
Yeah, my least favourite time. I can't sit around, don't like doing it. But then that was on, so I was like, all right, okay. I usually put Real Madrid TV on. That's on terrestrial over there, isn't it? But I put it on, and I was like, we'll watch this. And the first thing I said is, who is he? And I was like, that's exactly what he wants you to say. He is front and centre. There was a point where he was finished his speech, and it panned off him, and it come back on, and he was stood in between Kevin Hart and Heidi Klum. In the middle of them. You might remember the point where it went from Sepp Blatter to him.
Huh?
It was very much he very much engineered the succession. And in my view, he is every bit as challenging. He sucks that power.
Oh yeah, he's a lot more brazen with his sort of want for the public eye, and almost Trump-esque in the way he deals with certain aspects in football, but with this comical Boris Johnson side to him, where he's he'll come out with some crazy lines. And at the end of the day, we need to have certain footballing people in them roles, and I don't know if this guy's ever kicked a football in his life. I hope to God that somewhere down the line he has. I'm not asking him to have played for Juventus or Paris Saint-Germain or anything at some point. But just keep that part of the world rooted in you, and don't be worrying about who's got what watch on and which celebrities' phone numbers you've got and stuff like that.
Well, the thing is, if anyone else listens to our FIFA episode in the past, it is a good listen because we talked a lot about Infantino and his grip on power in that.
Mm-hmm.
But just to give people who maybe weren't listening to us back then, the flavour is essentially every FIFA member has one vote. There is no bigger votes. It's not collegiate system like in America where like Pennsylvania has 1,000 votes, whatever it is. It is one member, one vote, which sounds great, but it leaves things open to influence and power. And essentially just another classic example of why democracy doesn't work, which we've talked about quite a lot on this podcast.
One thing that Infantino did confirm was there will be a halftime show this year.
Yeah, yes,
as well as a pre-football show, and I'm sure a presentation show, and there'll be a pre-tournament show and a pre-tournament festival and all sorts of stuff going on.
Don't hate
halftime
this.
show. The halftime show.
I don't hate this. Do you know why I don't hate it? Because of where it is. We're doing this in America. It's part of the America World Cup. I understand the distaste because it feels like a sacred line, doesn't it? The halftime show, because it's like we've been doing them now in the Champions League finals, and they've not gone down particularly well.
I don't want I don't want a second over 15 minutes break, and this is a real struggle in the Super Bowl. Is the fact that they all of a sudden have a 30-minute break because the halftime show is a 15-minute stint, and they have to prep and get that staging down. And it's a real struggle in terms of the flow of a match.
Well, when I've had a few beers, I've been popping up on the WhatsApp group a few times going, how long's this half time? And it's because I only realised later on, so I'm not actually sat and timed it. But I'm convinced they're creeping up anyway.
Just to get you ready for it.
Yeah. I'm like, never had. It's doing 15 minutes, this. Anyway, but yeah, there is issues, stopping and starting, that type of stuff. I get it. Anyone who did, I actually just assumed that was the case. Anyway, it was a nice thing. So I thought, all right, okay, it's been confirmed, but I just assumed that would have been happening in this World Cup anyway, to be honest. Interesting who it is. Early bets, please. My money be on Beyonce.
It's J-Lo. So it's always J-Lo.
Or Shakira, maybe.
Yeah, I love J-Lo as much as the next man, but like, she doesn't need to do every sporting event just because she's Latino.
Fair enough.
Not that I care. I don't even care. I don't want it. I don't. And I'm not being a bar humbug. Not on my football. This is our game. It's just, I don't get. I don't know. I don't even know if I can put it into words other than get out of my football game. I'm just trying to think of it the right thing here. Is there anything that gave you hope for the World Cup that came from this tournament, this draw, and this spectacle?
That's a very good question.
I'm fucking loaded with them, mate.
No, ultimately, I am looking forward to the World Cup. Like,
yes, because it's a World Cup.
Yeah, and how many times have we sat there before World Cups and said how poor they're going to be, and it's going to be really worried about this, and they always mint.
I've never said that. It's been in Russia.
Yeah, Russia and Qatar, the last two. Think of the discussion before those two World Cups. And then the reality was, like, that Qatar World Cup, no one said a single good word about it. It was like, everyone's living in tents in the desert. Everyone's going to be executed when they land. And ultimately, yes, there were some issues, but the football was as good as any World Cup I've seen.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, but obviously I am looking forward to a World Cup. I think without the involvement of the president and without the added glitz and glam that they feel like they need to sprinkle on it, a World Cup in America tomorrow would be fantastic. And I just don't think I don't think that the rest is needed. I think the spectacle of the games should be enough. Probably isn't. I might sound really out of touch there. But let's see. Is there anything that you would fix about this? And in fact, I thought of something that I want to fix this week. It isn't related to this, so I'm going to put it in at the end.
There probably is, even though I don't like it. I agree with the 48 teams, ultimately. I think there's enough football.
Yeah, I do.
What I don't like, though, and this is byproduct of that is that it's 5.5 weeks this World Cup. I think that's too long. Personally, I think there'll be a bit of world. Now maybe we'll be all right because the bigger games will be at the end. You know, we'll not
like
be
6 matches a day in some of these,
That's what I mean. I probably would have been combining fixtures for the first time potentially, which I know that they probably don't want to do.
Or having 2 on at the same time. Yeah.
I feel like at some point that's gonna, because I don't know. It just feels too long. 5.5 weeks. It just.
I did feel like so England's first game is a Wednesday, then the following Tuesday, and then that next Saturday. So that feels like a long time.
First gap, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
That's the main thing I would look at in terms of, other than that, fixing it. The draw itself was a farce. Like, even to the point of the computer having to, because of the amount of rules and everything, you were essentially, it was like, which you're trying to work out. You go. There was a point where you knew England had Panama about 3 moves before it actually happened.
Oh, they can't play someone in red.
Yeah, and you saw all the England teams like, yeah, we've got Panama, yeah, and then like Rio Ferdinand's just trying to work it out, like.
Yeah, hold on. Hey. South, yeah, no, because that begins with a P, so you can't put it in that pot.
Yeah, it got a bit farcical, even though I quite liked the rules and how it all worked out.
Yeah, I get it.
It looks a bit farcical, but the problem is you can't. In the
real
world,
spinning one ball around.
Well, that's it, right? Because in reality, what they want to do is just do like press a button and it comes up with it. Like, you know, like you put it like almost like ChatGPT, make a draw that means this, and randomize it, right? But the Scots of the world, he's never going to accept that. He's going to be like, oh, this is what they knew this would happen. Look, Portugal can get Argentina in the quarterfinals in Miami. What a surprise! Like you have to show the workings. So the fix is everyone had stopped being paranoid and they could just press go and it could have almost could have like a it just could have been slicker. But I suppose for the tin hat to the lot, you can't do it.
Fine. Well, that brings to the end of another wonderful episode. I did say I have one thing to fix, and we've managed to get through without talking about Arsenal losing or Bolton losing. So
we don't need to.
We don't need to.
Us, you know,
didn't happen as far as I can
They could have come in and asked us about it.
We
and they
move on. Never mind. One thing I want to fix this week, and I can't create an episode about this to shoehorn it in as a point. So because this is the point of us, I wanted to fix something.
Okay.
It's totally unrelated to anything. It's Brazilians with stupid names like Kevin and Fred. It needs to go. It's the end. We're done.
But it's something like Freddie Wilson would be better.
It would be miles better. Freddinho.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's quite a few in that.
Fred.
Arthur
I nearly
springs
said
to mind.
Fredo.
Yeah. Arthur springs to mind. Hulk stupid. Although he sees goal at the weekend, Hulk.
39-year-old Hulk from 40 yards.
Yeah, a classic 50-yard run-up as well. Like Pro Evo run-up, wasn't it?
I don't mind Hulk because it isn't even...
It's just that he looks like Hulk, isn't it? That's the whole thing, wasn't it?
He was playing in green and he had a big chin and that's what happened.
Bruce Banner, is it? That was the actual...
No, they said it, Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno, that's it, yeah.
But anyway, Hulk's the one exception to the rule here. You know what? This cropped up when it was Kevin who plays for Fulham. He's Fulham's record signing who can't cross a ball from a corner to save his life, by the way. Record signing.
Liverpool interested in him as well, I believe.
You can't be called Kevin because it's not your name. So you can't be Kevin. You can't be Fred. You can't be John. You can't be Dave.
Do you remember? I always remember Joe at City and Everton. That was a good one.
Joe. Just what's your name? Joe. You like Madonna. You can't just be Joe. Like
we're gonna have Stuart soon, aren't we? Stuart.
Yeah.
Or Keith.
It's got to. We are progressive
Wesley.
enough.
Do you remember Wesley? Wesley was one, wasn't it? At Villa. Oh, this is a good game.
This is a good game. I was trying to think. I thought what it gave me an idea for the quiz is to give like which Brazilian is this and give like his full name, like Luis Di Nazario, do whatever. See if you can work that out. But you would never do because the names are so farcical that it doesn't matter.
No.
So we need to get rid. We've had enough. We've moved on as a world where we don't need you to help us pronounce your name. We will make the effort. If you are
Allison. That's similar, isn't it?
And he's called Alison Becker. That's his name.
Ah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm just sat here thinking of them now. Sorry, I'm proper distracted by this.
I know. We're gonna have to. There's gonna have to be one. But Fred and Kevin are by far the worst. There's been a few Freds as well,
Yeah, there has been a few Freds.
but Kevin really tipped me over the edge this week. And sorry, Brazilians, you're gonna have to go back to your original name. There's no need to moonlight as a Englishman anymore.
A lad on site.
Robert. There must have been a Robert.
Oh, it's Roberto, but that's not the same.
I did Google Brazilians with ridiculous names, and I got some really strange results that weren't all footballers, and maybe I should have worded it properly. If you want to Google that for yourselves and look at what came up, be my guest. It's worth a Google. Thank you everyone for joining. Thanks, Liam. It's great to have you back. We've got one more episode, and then we've got the Christmas quiz and a bit of a break, sort of a break. We're just gonna
not a break in content, a break in for us, isn't it?
No breaks in content. We will be here for you all. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Follow us on whichever platform you're listening to. All the information is on our website, which is linked below in the show details. It's fixingfootballpodcast.com. But please subscribe, because our YouTube is our home and it's where we want to be, and we want to just keep growing this channel, and it really helps us. It really helps the algorithm to put us amongst other stuff that you like. So if you are listening and you're not subscribed, I'm going to follow it with you, and it's Christmas, so that'd be nice. Don't do that.
It could be a Christmas present to us.
You're more than happy to. That I will accept that. I won't accept it from you, Liam. You have a limit that you need to stick to. But thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.